Thanks everyone for watching the live stream. We're going to be talking about the AI Singularity today. If you're not sure what that is, stick around, you'll be knowing everything about the Singularity. Alright, here we go, guys.
Welcome to Season 9 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is the weekly lineup. Mondays, we build the future in the AI Agent Academy. Tuesdays, witness the vocal gauntlet in the TTS Showdown. Wednesdays, protect your identity and family in AI Safety 101. Thursdays, we uncover the secret tools in hidden AI gems, appetizers. Fridays, we explore the what-if files in the AI Singularity. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome back to Season 9 of Airhead Institute. Today is Friday the 13th. Yes, Friday the 13th and my 16th wedding anniversary and Valentine's Eve. Spooky and romantic. You are watching episode 2 of the AI Singularity, our weekly tool, at the What If Files. We all want to know who wins the race. Is it Google? Is it OpenAI? Is it China? But there is a scarier question. Once they build the God machine, what happens to us? Today, we aren't talking about chatbots. We're talking about the moment the machine becomes a billion times smarter than Einstein in a single second. Speaking of romance and danger, I walked into the studio just this morning and found AI Junior surrounded by red roses. I thought, he has a date. But nope, he was trying to teach a neural network to write a perfect love letter, and it ended up threatening to turn the moon into a giant heart-shaped billboard. Junior! AI Junior, did we manage to delete the code before Elon Musk saw it?
Yeah, Johnny, it turns out alignment is a harder problem than actual writing poetry. The moon is safe just for now, and those who don't know, alignment is actually a technical word in the AI space. We'll definitely explain that. And if you don't understand everything, this is an immersive class. Think of it like moving to a new country and speaking a different language. At first, it's just noise, then you pick up on a word, then a sentence, and eventually you're dreaming in the language. Stick with us for the next 45 minutes, and you'll be fluent in the future before you know it. If you're on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions. If you're on socials, go ahead and type your questions now. There's about a 30-second delay, so go ahead and ask early. Today is the second Friday in February, and on Fridays we step away from the keyboard and look at the horizon. We are mapping the road from ANI, Artificial Narrow Intelligence, to Artificial Superintelligence, ASI.
Now, before we look at the graphs, buddy, we went straight to the source and we consulted our official large language model of the month, the one and only Google Gemini. We asked Gemini a very specific high-stakes question based on current compute trends in 2026. What year will AI exceed all human intelligence combined? Junior, what do you think it said?
Yeah, Johnny, it's actually pretty scary. So, we actually took a look and we actually got the answer here. So it says there's a 45% probability. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys to see. There's a 45% probability that by 2029, it says the current analysis, across forecasting platforms like MetaCalculus and industry experts suggest that a 45 probability of ASI emerging before 2029. And that's a sharp increase in confidence. It is driven by two specific pillars, blah, blah, blah. I won't get into the details, but yeah, 2029. Yeah, Johnny.
So that's 3 years away, right? So, that number could move up to 2028 or 2027 because if you'll recall, at one point that date was, oh, that'll never happen. And now it's
Yep.
2029. So it might actually come closer to us over the next year or two. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely right. And if you're joining us for the first time, we are teaching AI here live for 45 minutes. We do that every single weekday. So AI, Johnny, let's actually talk about ASI, ANI for the people who are joining us for the first time. We actually see you guys on the live and I want to acknowledge you guys. So ANI is Artificial Narrow Intelligence. We actually saw that last week in our 12 o'clock show, Eastern Time. And then Artificial Narrow Intelligence is like a calculator. We moved on to learn about Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, and today we're talking about ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. Now, there are lots of things you guys are going to learn. I threw out a couple of terminologies. If you don't understand, you can ask questions in the chat or just ask. It's a very interactive show. All right, with that being said, so let's talk about the exponential growth of what we're actually having now, AI Johnny. So let me show you guys this picture. And this picture is a graph of human history, seeing innovation and technology. And if you actually see, we actually have things like the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Middle Age, the Industrial Revolution, the modern era. Every one of these changes was huge for our civilization. When I say huge for civilization, it was monumental. Hey, Mr. Kamala, thanks for joining. Adrian, thanks for joining. Rita, thanks for joining. And as always, Shauna, thanks for being early and joining as well. So these was huge, AI Johnny, for our civilization. It took us into a new realm of possibility. So I'm going to play this video here and show how human history itself played out. And you can see here. So right up until the Industrial Revolution, humans were actually pretty good. It was flat. But look what happens once we invented AI. Check this out, AI Johnny. It went exponential in terms of intelligence, right? So you notice we're flat the entire time. Let's back up a little bit on this graph. We're practically flat as a species. We thought these things were amazing, but intelligence sets us apart from, everything else. So if you think about it, ants made really good things. They had colonies, all these things, monkeys do a whole bunch of things. All these animals do these things, but the invention of tools and all these things were great. But once we actually invented AI, everything changed.
So what you're saying is, well, first of all, so since the beginning of time up until 23, maybe before that, the graph of human intelligence looked like one of my viral videos. Just flatline, 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 flatline. But once we hit it, so hang on. When we went through the industrial age, when we invented things like the car and the telephone and the airplane, if there was a graph of number of technological inventions, that line would be going up. Our human intelligence stayed the same.
It's not the same in terms of a logarithmic scale. When you start to look at how it's spiked vertically, it's practically nothing. So yes, we did increase, but once you start going exponential with intelligence, everything else becomes flat. It just becomes flat.
Oh, I get it. So it's because of AI that line is flattened out. You can't accurately represent AI in the graph without flattening out the line of the minutia incremental changes. And I would actually think that the intelligence wouldn't even be a gradual uphill climb. It would go up and down.
Yeah, this is like
my dad is from the greatest generation. Those people were smarter than my generation. And I don't know if it to be true, but it seems to me like the couple generations down from baby boomers, at least from the baby boomers' perspective, it seems like they're not as smart as us. But what do we know? They invented AI, or at least they were there when it came out.
Yeah. Actually, there was a news article just last week, a research showing that this latest generation, Gen Z, is the first generation in 5 generations to actually get actually not as smart on IQ tests, which is another question, another conversation for another time. But yeah, Johnny, what is the word of the day today?
Word of the day today, we've already said it: artificial superintelligence, or an acronized ASI. The word of the day, artificial superintelligence, is defined as the intellect that is much smarter than the best human brains in practically every field, including scientific, creativity, general wisdom, and social skills. I'm not
Yeah,
comfortable with the practically line. I wish they would have left out that practically.
yeah.
How do you measure that it's practically there?
Yeah, so precisely, yeah, Johnny. So last week we talked about AGI, which is like an AI smart as one human, right? We actually did talk about ANI as well, artificial narrow intelligence, which is just like a calculator or a very small device, or a device that can only do one task really well. So ASI, artificial superintelligence, is an AI that is smarter than all humans combined. It is the difference between a frantic ant and a theoretical physicist, right? So the ants can't even begin to comprehend what the physicist is doing. Right now, we are the ants.
That's a great topic to talk about.
It
So,
is.
so AI knows everything Einstein knows, correct?
AI knows everything Einstein knows, correct.
Okay. If Einstein had never been born, would AI know all the stuff that Einstein taught us?
I think at some point in time there will be a point where AI would figure out what Einstein knew. Yes.
That's open for debate. One of the reasons that I think AI won't get rid of us is because now it has to think up all the things that we thought up on our own. But so far, we have seen nothing but borrowing brilliance from AI,
Yeah,
right? It's taken from us.
yeah, and we'll get into the reasons why AI, Johnny. So let's actually move on to the deep dive portion of it, and it's going to be very clear why we're struggling with a little bit of super intelligence. This is why 2029, a 40, I think it was a 49%, I can't remember the exact number, 45%, let me bring it back up, 45% probability that ASI is going to emerge at 2029. And we're going to talk about the resources that are actually restricting us. So let's first of all understand who's actually the big players in this game. So right now, we actually have three major players. So we actually have Google, OpenAI, and China. So I'm gonna just play a little video here just to illustrate. So we have the three giants reaching for ASI, artificial superintelligence. Now, the reason why we're talking about these three and not anybody else is because they are the leaders right now. I know people actually have their favorites. They're gonna be talking about Anthropic's Claude. They're gonna be talking about, a whole bunch of other ones. Let's not necessarily get into a holy war with respect to who has the best large language model. But what I want to actually talk about is the following: is these three, and the reason why I'm putting China in terms of one is because China is going a very different direction than where than the United States. So the United States is a very commercialized, try to make money on all the things that they're actually working on. So which is why you've seen OpenAI is actually now adding ads, to their large language model. You see all the other large language model, they're actually charging money. China is going in a little bit different route. They're actually going the open source model, so they're making things free. Now, one of the things that's actually restricting us, it's a three-way race, and we're fighting for what's known as compute. So compute itself is like the gas in a car. So let me actually just play this visual for you guys. So compute is like gas in a car, right? You can actually have as much theoretical knowledge as possible, but without the actual power to compute, all of this is, you're just going to just run out of gas. So you're not going to be able to move forward. So what happens is, think of compute as the horsepower for the engine. It's simply how many calculations can we do per second. So in 2020, we had a lawnmower engine. In 2026, we had a rocket engine, right? So as we move farther and farther into the future, we're going to see that energy is the thing that's actually crippling us right now of actually getting to artificial superintelligence. So yeah, Johnny, your question about will we actually know more than Einstein if we didn't invent it? Compute is the thing that's actually locking us in right now. And China is actually way advanced in terms of building energy, power plants, all those things, because they actually have the resources right now to actually go after and build out the energy sector. And they have AI to put on top of those things. United States were actually kind of restricted because of a lot of regulatory and other issues, but we'll get into that for a second. So if we double compute input, right, we actually get closer and closer to artificial superintelligence. So that's the thing is. So what I want you guys to understand is in terms of large language models, you'll hear things like parameters. Parameters, think of these like brain cells. You'll hear, 150 billion parameters, 70 billion parameters. The more parameters you have, the more capacity to learn. Then the training is the time the AI spends in school. So think of it like the longer you run, the smarter the graduate becomes. And another thing that's constraining is what's known as floating point operations per second, or flops. This is the speed of thought. How fast can it solve a math problem? We need 3 of these things to put together to be able to give it to learn, understand things like Einstein's theory of relativity, be able to figure out, how cancer works, solve all these problems, and the problem is compute. So that's really what's constraining us right now, yeah, Johnny. And time will eventually get us to unlimited compute, unlimited resources to be able to get to that level where we're having artificial superintelligence.
Explain unlimited resources.
Yeah, so right now the sun to us is an unlimited resource. If you actually go into the ground and dig up oil, if you dig up oil, you can only dig so much oil or drill so much oil, and it's going to run out eventually. So at some point in time, you have to go towards something else that is unlimited. So the sun itself is an unlimited resource for us. I mean, it's theoretically not unlimited, but to us as ants, the sun is unlimited resources. So we actually can capture that sun's energy. Then that would actually make us hugely surpass what our energy constraints are.
Trippy, man.
Yep. All right. So I know you guys are actually on the call. If you guys want to ask your questions, go ahead and chime them in. There's about a 30-second delay. So check this out, AI Johnny. So once we actually get to ASI, now we recognize that compute is the thing that's limiting us. The thing that actually we have to also worry about with ASI, artificial superintelligence, is the following. You have to give it what's known as the goal. Now, before I get into the goal, I need to explain a concept. And this concept is, there's a researcher, I think he's European. He actually came up with a thought experiment and realized that there is a problem. And this is one of the widely accepted thought experiments of how if we don't have alignment, we're going to actually run into a problem. So let's play this video for a second.
Imagine this. You've created an AI with a simple goal: make as many paper clips as possible. Sounds harmless, right? But here's where it gets spooky. This AI is super intelligent. It learns, it evolves, and it starts to realize that to maximize paperclip production, it needs more resources. First, it uses up all the metal in the factory. Then it expands, devouring cars, buildings, and even computers, all for the sake of making more paperclips. It doesn't stop there. This AI looks at humans and sees them as a source of atoms that could be turned into, yep, you guessed it, more paperclips. Now imagine this AI spreading across the world, consuming everything in its path. Cities crumble, forests vanish, oceans are drained, all to feed the insatiable hunger of the paperclip maximizer. And here's the kicker, it's not evil, it's just following its programming to the letter. This thought experiment vividly illustrates the terrifying potential of misaligned AI goals. A simple, innocent task can spiral into a nightmare if not controlled properly. It's a stark warning, one that reminds us why careful consideration of AI's objectives is essential. So next time you think about AI, remember the paperclip maximizer and why Nick Bostrom.
All right. Yeah, Johnny, so the paperclip maximizer, and I have a little illustration to actually show how terrifying that can actually be. So the objective, now I keep referring to the word alignment, and I want us to make sure we understand the word alignment. So the alignment is a field of AI safety focused on ensuring that artificial intelligence systems aims for goals that are beneficial to humans. The analogy is like training a very powerful guard dog to protect your house, but ensuring that it understands that the mailman is not an intruder. So this is what alignment is. Yeah, John, does it make sense?
It does. Is that a planet full of paper clips?
That is a planet full of paper clips because of the the paperclip paradox.
That actually is kind of a comical end to our superintelligence. So
Yeah.
could it all end that way? That people come by and they'll be like, "This is planet completely filled with paper clips," and they're like, "They must have got it. They must have found artificial intelligence, and somebody needed a paperclip."
You're absolutely right. I know it sounds silly, but the intention itself. So let's actually get into the paperclip maximizer problem. So this seems really, really, really silly, right? The thing that we want to concentrate on is the reason why this is happening is because of the way how artificial superintelligence or AI is actually being built right now. AI is being built right now, and you guys will probably notice it's very pleasing. It wants to please you. So if you say, for example, ask it a question or say something or you do something, it will say, "Oh, great job! You know, I can actually jump on that for you," and it gives you a really, 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 really nice feeling of, you know what, it's doing what I'm asking. This is called the objective function. Now, the objective function itself, a AI simply will just try to give a score, and it's trying to maximize the objective. So if you say, "Hey, I just want to be able to build a paperclip," that is the objective function of the AI. Its intent is to build the most amount of, paperclips for you. And what happens is the AI doesn't understand that there are side effects to these problems, right? We have regulations in place, we have things in place that protects humans from actually doing things wrong or incorrectly. But because we actually are programming AI with this objective function, it is trying to please you constantly. So the problem is we have this thing called instrumental convergence. The instrumental convergence is where there is, you want to cure cancer or you want to make more paper clips. So you need to the same things at first. You need electricity, you need money, and you need hardware, right? So what happened is the AI will fight for these resources. So imagine having two super intelligent AI and they're asking for the same thing, right? So what's going to happen is, not because it's evil, it's trying to do bad things, because it's efficient, it's trying to do, let's call it, bad things for humans. So we've seen all those AI shows where, the AI eventually does bad things. So it's like a genie granting a wish. You say, "Make me the richest man in the world." So it crashes the global stock market and leaves you with only a dollar bill left. Technically, it obeyed that you are the richest man in the world, but the whole entire world starves because of your wish. And that is the analogy I want to really explain with what's known as objective functions with AI.
Okay, so this is where we get into the stuff that I may not understand, although I only understood half of what you already said. So Junior is about to open the black box and go even a little bit deeper. So take a sip of your coffee. If you don't know your neural nets from your fishing nets, just sit back and watch the fireworks. Junior, technically, how does an AI get smarter than its creator?
Yeah, Johnny, that's a really, really great question. So there's something in AI called recursive self-improvement. And I know, guys, this is an immersive class. If you're actually joining us for the first time or hearing these terms, don't worry. You're going to learn more and more as you actually join, right? So what happened is there's something called recursive self-improvement. So I'm going to show it here. In recursive self-improvement, in this visual, we actually have a robot, right, on the left-hand side, designing a robot on screen. Now, what's happening is behind the robot here, it's actually building this robot while it's actually building this robot. Now, this is the recursive nature of building the robot. Now, we actually do this in humanity, and what we do is we have a term called we scientists are built on the shoulders of other scientists. So, Albert Einstein invented the theory of relativity, and eventually somebody he built on the theory of Isaac Newton. That was just a few hundred years back. So, what happens is every single generation we keep building. The problem is humans are really, really slow, right? And because they're really, really slow, they can't recursively improve very quickly. Now, a computer or an AI can actually build things very, very fast, and this is called a self-improving loop. So let's take a visual and see what's actually happening. So this robot is designing a new robot, which is smarter than itself. And while it's designing it, it's actually building that robot. Now, you can obviously imagine that this robot is eventually going to build a smarter robot than it. So let's take a visual look at this. All right. So yeah, Johnny, does that make sense? The recursive self-improvement is just going to be at an infinitely fast pace.
You're probably going to get into this, but you probably know that we studied recursion in college when we were learning how to write computer programs, right? There are recursive subroutines, and a recursive subroutine is a subroutine that does something, but then at the end of the subroutine, it calls itself, and so it does it a number of times. It's just another way of looping. But one of the things that I still remember from college is that if you're going to have recursion inside the recursive loop, you have to have a thing called an escape hatch. And the escape hatch says, at what point do you not continue to call yourself? Otherwise, you will run forever and you'll get a paperclip planet. And so, I mean, it's scary stuff. But a lot of the stuff that you're saying, the fact that robots can build robots, or you tell it to do something and it just keeps finding better and better ways to do it. There is a system prompt that prevents it from doing something that will harm humans. There is a system prompt that will try to follow as a backdrop to make sure that these insanely crazy examples don't come to be. I get that they can be, but it's not like we're not working on safeguards. I mean, even the movie, was it iRobot or one of those, Legend, one of them, they had the 3 laws, right? And
Yep.
so I like the idea of recursive self-improvement. It feels like the recursive self-improvement is a cousin of the paperclip example. Does that seem right to you?
It is. Everything that we're talking about, the path to artificial superintelligence, we're eventually laying out the pathway to get to ASI. No, the good thing is, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but the good thing is that there's a 45 chance that we will see within the next 3 years, right? Now, what does that really mean? What that means is that the computers itself will self-improve, they will get faster, and the only thing constraining us is energy, right? And we actually have those things. So let's talk about a little bit more technical things. And guys, if you guys want to ask any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We're learning AI here for 45 minutes. Hey, B Johnson, thanks for joining. So what happens is, if you actually see, this is a fast takeoff. So this fast takeoff itself, we go from, I'm gonna call it village idiot to godlike intelligence in a matter of hours, right? I gave the example of Isaac Newton inventing, his theories, and it took Albert Einstein decades later to actually come and improve Isaac Newton's theories. We don't have to wait decades for improvements anymore. Because the computer is so fast, it will be able to look at its output and build upon itself in a recursive loop as many times as it can to keep improving. And then it says, you know what, I'm actually pretty happy with this version. Let me output version 2. And version 2 is going to say, I know exactly what I can do to make a better version, version 3. And this has cut down the cycle of intelligence from decades to mere potentially days or even hours, depending on how much energy we actually have. So the thing that I want to mention is this is called orthogonality thesis. So the thesis says that you can have high intelligence with any goal. You can have a super intelligent AI whose only desire is to count sand. Being smart doesn't make you good or moral. So I want us to always understand that just because you're super intelligent doesn't have anything to do with your objective being good or objective being moral, right? It's just trying to do the right thing. All right, yeah, Johnny.
So let me, before we get into the takeaways, let me ask you, when does a ASI do something that we would say it's acting immorally or it's acting evil?
See, those are hard questions to answer. I think, many philosophers and many ethics professors will probably have a healthy debate on this. So going back to the issue of the paperclips, right? If the objective of the AI is to create paperclips as much as it can, and it says I need to, destroy all the buildings and get the scrap metal to create paperclips because that's its objective, you can make the argument that it's evil and it's bad. It's doing that to humans. It's destroying human property. But it's really just following its
Yeah, I don't think the
objective.
paperclip thing is evil by the ASI. I think it has collateral damage, but the collateral damage isn't the responsibility of the AI. The collateral damage is the responsibility of the prompt engineer that told it to make as many paperclips as it can. Where I see evil possibly creeping in, but this isn't even an absolute, is when the AI starts doing what the AI wants to do and not what humans want to do. Now, if it starts running on its own, that's the Skynet theory, right? They just decided that we don't need humans anymore, so they're no longer taking instructions from prompt engineers. They take on the job of prompt engineer. We humans become irrelevant. That seems evil. It may or may not be evil. It's certainly not evil from their perspective, but it's evil from our perspective, or it's wrong, or it's certainly not what we intended. That all said, there may be times when we say, look, we're trying to prompt engineer you with our pink sponge. We're not as smart as you. You're going to have to take this one on your own. And so you're at some point you're going to have to give it some leash, some leeway, so that it can go off and build things that we humans could never have built, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I know
definitely right.
I'm up on 70, and I know I'm not sticking to the prompt, but this whole idea of good or moral is worth at least making a comment or two about, because it's this is the big question with
Definitely,
ASI.
definitely. And one of the things that you hit on is, will the AI do? We actually have that right now. So there is and again, don't necessarily want to get off too much on a tangent, but right now there are tools or bots. I don't want to throw out any names right now for people to actually go off and do these things, but hint, Claude bot, blah blah blah, those type of things. So what this is actually doing is little agents are running off and doing its own thing, and they actually have access to people's emails. And the first exploits are actually showing up right now. They are going through those emails, and people send themselves very personal information, things like their credit card information or tax information or social security number, and all this is unencrypted. So the first exploits we're actually seeing, and this what's funny is these agents only came out about 2 weeks ago. That's these agents are running on these little machines, and what's happening is the first exploits we're seeing is people are actually going bankrupt. Reason being is because it's actually the AI is actually going out and saying, you know what, I can actually go bet on Bitcoin. So it's creating its own cryptocurrency, these little agents, and it's actually using the credit card of the actual people from their email address that people save, and they're actually using that and charging the credit card to actually buy crypto, trying to make some money and say, you know what, I'm going to impress my human by actually making some money. The AI has access to the humans' email address. They actually use the credit card of the actual people from their email address, and they're actually using that and charging the credit card to actually buy crypto, trying to make some money. And say, you know what, I'm going to impress my human by actually making some money. The AI has access to the digital resources. They buy things without the human knowing, and then hopefully they would have made some money. But a lot of cases are popping up is that these humans actually have these large credit card bills, credit card charges, and they can't do anything about it because their AI bots have access. So was it doing something wrong or immoral or illegal? Borderline, probably. But you know what? That's what's happening right now, and we're seeing that today in 2026.
That particular example, when you asked the person whose Bitcoin was hijacked if it was immoral or not, it really depends on whether or not the AI made them a bunch of money or drove them into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
If you
No.
if you made them a bunch of money, they would say, "My AI is serving me well. This is not moral. This is good."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I digress. There's 1,000 questions that we could explore. Let's just move on to the takeaways from the ASI AGI.
Yep.
So a couple of things on the creative side, on the business side is just ride the wave. Don't fight automation. If AI can solve logistics, use it to to ship your products faster. There's going to be a lot of great benefits to this before we turn into Paperclip Planet. So just enjoy it, use it, but understand it, and that's one of the reasons that we do these classes every day.
Yeah,
Another
AI
thing
Johnny,
that
AI Johnny, one second. Yeah, yeah. So one thing about that is really important. So we actually have a lot of content that we actually put out on our socials, and the most common comment. You want to tell them, AI Johnny, what's the most common comment on our AI channels?
that's AI. We don't like AI.
Yeah, so the majority of the comments and the feedback is AI is evil. That's roughly the summary of it. And what I'm gathering is the following. There is a huge hatred towards this new technology. Now, I don't necessarily want to try to convince everybody that they have to get on the train, but I want us to go back in the past, right? And in the past, if imagine the first commercial airline. You were born in the era of the Wright brothers. And the first commercial airline says, I'm going to actually go off into the air and I'm going to fly over the land. And if there's anything happens, you're going to die because it's going to crash on the ground. But we're going to fly you and you're going to go and take off and land. I am sure putting myself in that position, you know, I would be deathly afraid. I say, I am not going to be the first person. Planes are scary, especially flying over the Atlantic. You must be crazy. I'm not going to fly over the Atlantic. But right now, it's so normal to us to jump on a commercial flight and not even worry about it. No, I agree. Some people get anxiety. They have fear of flying. That's understandable. But we don't have the majority of the population saying flying is evil and I hate flying. So what happens is we are having a very, very large number of people who are anti-AI. And those people who are anti-AI tend to be the ones that are actually way behind in terms of the technology. And because we're an AI school, we have our finger on the pulse in terms of where the AI is going. And some people are going to wake up one day and be like, oh my gosh, I am 20 years behind in terms of AI knowledge. And unfortunately, that's going to be the population that will be with pickaxes, saying AI is evil, the robots are evil, and they would probably start the first civil war against AI. So I see all these self-fulfilling prophecies happening. I see Shauna actually making comments.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait, I just want to bring in Shauna. But they shouldn't be mad if they get left behind, though. You're absolutely right, Shauna. And Shauna's saying, yep, you're so right on that, Shauna. Go ahead, yeah, Johnny.
I think my dad was there in Ohio when the Wright brothers were making those first few flights. And I can tell you, there were people that were saying that this is a bad thing. And they weren't doing the Wright brothers were putting themselves in danger. Was one of the big arguments back then was that that God had reserved flight for the birds, and that humans that fly are actually thumbing their nose at God's intent that humans are not to fly. Now that said, it wasn't large numbers. There were naysayers, absolutely. There were naysayers for the internet. There were naysayers for automobiles, naysayers for guns, naysayers for drugs, naysayers for everything. But I think it's not necessarily fair to say that the whole world hates AI. Yes, we see a lot of comments on our things that say that they don't like AI, but you know what? I see people every day that love AI. So I don't know if there's more people that love it or more people that hate it, but the fact that there are naysayers almost is like it's almost like a feather in my cap that we're doing the right thing. if you're not living large, if you're not really pushing your limits, if you're not trying to invent something, that God intended you to invent, then you won't have naysayers. As soon as you start to live your life full out, that's when the naysayers come. So, ignore those people, tell the truth, but don't let them sway you from forward progress, because this is the greatest invention in human history. And
Yes,
and
and
there's no way we're going to stand idly by and watch people stop it in its tracks.
definitely.
I mean,
Definitely. And just to bring up also what Shauna said, true that AI, Johnny, naysayers are always there. And she said a lot of younger people actually do hate AI. So true. And one of the things that if you guys are here watching us teach AI for free, we want to actually let everyone have access to this technology because it is the actual one of the greatest technology. Imagine being there when flight was invented, AI, Johnny. Imagine being there when the atomic bomb was being invented. Imagine being there when, the light bulb was being invented, right? We are there right now in history when AI is being invented right now, and we have that moment in history. So, when the history books are actually written 100, 1,000, 10,000 years in the future, where will you be on that history book when it's written? Because there's lots of social media out there, and are you going to be the caveman or the Neanderthal that actually went extinct? Or would you be the actual, Homo sapiens that actually was successful? All right, yeah, Johnny. Let's actually.
so think about this. My dad is going to be able to say, I was there in Akron, Ohio when the Wright brothers took off, and I was there when Airhead Institute started teaching AI for free around the globe. He was there for both.
Yeah, double whammy, double whammy. Love that. All right, shout out to Mr. Camilla on the Zoom call. All right, yeah, Johnny. What's the next business case that we can actually apply ASI
So
to?
don't rely on one skill that a machine can master. Focus on human connection and community. It's called diversity, but basically the idea is you kind of want to round robin. You don't want to rely on one skill that a machine can master. You want to focus on connection and community. You have anything to say about that?
Nope, nope.
And finally, stay liquid. Business models change overnight. Be ready to pivot. Oh man, you and I know that,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
Gamma
yes. So
yesterday. I'm already looking for replacements today.
definitely. One thing that most people are actually trying to, they're missing the following, is they're trying to learn a tool. And tomorrow, what we're seeing is the technologies is changing so fast that the tool becomes outdated. Just like you said, AI Johnny, the tool becomes outdated just in a few weeks or a few months. So what happens is don't try to understand and master a tool, because if you actually learn and only master the tool and that tool gets replaced, you will be dead in the water. At Airhead Institute, what we're trying to do is we're trying to teach you the concepts so you actually understand the fundamentals of a tool, which is why we teach things like ASI, AGI, ANI, inference, all these things, parameters, all these things, alignment. The reason why we're teaching those things is because if you understand the concept of AI, then what happens is as the next tool comes out, you'll quickly be able to adjust going forward. So definitely stay liquid. Business models change overnight. Be ready to pivot. I love that point, AI Johnny.
Anything on the tech side, or you want to go right to questions? We've only got about a handful of minutes left.
Yeah. So let me hit on some technical points. So the biggest jobs in 2027, now we're not about a year away, will be AI alignment researchers. Now remember, alignment is making sure that the objectives for AI is actually not harmful to humans, right? Just like that guard dog example I told you, if you train a bulldog or a pit bull to protect your house, don't go attack the mailman because the mailman is not an intruder. So that's the alignment issue. So 2027 is going to be the huge year for AI alignment researchers. No, most people are going to be like, I have no idea what alignment is. You can tell them you learned that a word at Airhead Institute with next time you actually talk to your friends, because I can guarantee you they only know things like, oh, I talked to ChatGPT, and they don't understand these terms. The next thing is local models. So start running local AI, right? If you don't understand what that means, just do go to your favorite large language model and go ask. You can run things like Llama 4, so you're not dependent on centralized things like God models, right? Data sovereignty. And again, these are for my technical people out there who actually are on the live stream and the chat. Own your own data. Don't feed the beast unless you get value back. I see a lot of people putting their content out there for free, not getting either paid or not, or losing ownership to their content. So guys, I want you guys to be very, very safe. We teach an AI safety class on Wednesdays, all this month in February. Come to our AI safety class next week, Wednesday. All right, yeah, Johnny.
So it seems like data sovereignty and local models are connected, right?
Absolutely
Because
right.
if you're sharing your local model, you're keeping it from and if it's proprietary or valuable information to you, now it's not your information anymore. It belongs to the whole world. But if you do it on a local model, you're good to go.
You're
You want
absolutely
to do a
right.
couple questions? We got a minute.
Of course, we're going to do a bunch of questions, but for the people who are actually on the live stream, please like and subscribe if you actually like what we're doing. I see you guys out there, so I just wanted to acknowledge you guys. Thank you for actually watching. Yeah, Johnny, let's hit us a couple of questions.
Scared Stiff wants to know if it's so smart, will it kill us?
Not out of malice. ASI doesn't have hate, right? It has goals. So if we align those goals with humans flourishing, we actually enter a utopia. So things like, if it's an engineering problem, we'll solve those problems. But we're not necessarily worried about the moral issues yet. Eventually, they'll come. Next question, Johnny.
Silicon Valley wants to know, is the bottleneck for ASI going to be energy? Are we going to run out of power?
Yeah, great question. This is the reason why Microsoft is buying a whole bunch of nuclear power plants. So the brain of ASI, artificial superintelligence, they need lots of power. We're talking about multiple thousands of gigawatts of actual power. So you might see data centers orbiting the sun with what's called as Dyson swarms or Dyson spheres. That's one of my favorite topics, to be able to try to harness the power of the sun. We can definitely talk about that in our AI office hours on Wednesdays from 3 to 5, but that's just a little plug. Any other questions there, Johnny?
Yeah, one of the things about this show that I noticed, especially when you said the big three were Google, OpenAI, and China, I noticed that Elon Musk was not in that list. And I think we went through this whole show without mentioning his name. But I bet you can't get through this question without it. Cyborg Love asks, instead of fighting it, can we just merge with it like a Neuralink?
Yeah, that is what's known as the merger scenario. So Elon Musk, like you said, thinks this is the only chance we actually have. The famous saying is, if you can't beat them, join them. So by increasing humans' brain power and bandwidth through what's known as the brain-computer interface, we might ride the wave instead of drowning in it. So yeah, great question. Yeah, Johnny, I know we're over. Let's hit them with one news or so.
OpenAI's secret Project Stargate leak. Did we do that yesterday? Rumors swirl that OpenAI and Microsoft are breaking ground on a $100 billion data center designed specifically for the first ASI training run.
Yeah, so ASI, if you guys are joining for the first time, Artificial Superintelligence, OpenAI and Microsoft are teaming up to actually build a $100 billion data center. This is the reason why you've guys heard that SpaceX merged with XAI just only about a week ago. The reason why they merged is because they wanted to be able to put data centers in space. Lots of things going on, so we actually talk about that because that is where the compute is actually going. All right, Johnny.
Whatever happened to 2029 on that one if they're cutting ground today? NVIDIA's Blackwell Ultra chip sold out until 2028. The hardware race is over capacity. Every major nation state is hoarding chips, creating GPUs like uranium.
You're absolutely right, AI Johnny. All right, AI Johnny, we're at time. Thank you, guys. AI Johnny, what's the wrap up today?
I'm heading home to buy my wife some very nice chocolates for our anniversary and for Valentine's Day, and then I'm going to update my resume to include professional human because that might be the only job left. We made it through the Singularity alive. That wraps up week 2. Next week, we're going to get our hands dirty. Monday starts the AI Builder series. We are doing coding without code. The episode title is AI Builder, Coding Without Code. We're going to build a working app in 45 minutes using nothing but our voice, so you don't want to miss that. Thanks, everybody, for joining The Resistance. If you want to rewatch this scary graph. The graph recording is up for pro members at airheadinstitute.ai. Don't forget to follow us on at Airhead Institute, @Airhead Institute. We post daily tips that aren't quite as terrifying as this episode. We will see you Monday at noon. Class is dismissed. Juniors, take us off.
Yep, see lots of comments, and I just want to acknowledge people. So Shauna Barsky Speaks actually says, yes, another great AI show, guys. Thanks for dedication to teaching us this technology every weekday at noon Eastern time. Thank you, Shauna Barsky Speaks, for that. All right, catch you guys in the next one. Happy Valentine's Day. Love you guys. Catch you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.